In our top story this week, we discuss Iran's resilience. Despite facing sanctions from its enemies, the Islamic Republic of Iran has always remained a power player in West Asia. Who are Iran's friends? And what routes is the Islamic Republic building for its economy? We tell you more in this report.
Undeterred by the opposition from global powers and regional rivals alike, Iran remains a key player in West Asia. Since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, Tehran has faced a series of increasingly severe sanctions from the United States and its allies. These sanctions have targeted oil exports, financial institutions, and industries linked to its economic sector. After the US president returned to the White House in January, Washington reimposed its maximum pressure policy on Iran, with a promise to drive Tehran's oil exports to zero. Since Trump withdrew from Iran's nuclear deal in 2015, Washington has aimed to halt Tehran's production of nuclear fuel so that Iran does not develop nuclear weapons.
In a few moments, I will sign a presidential memorandum to begin reinstating U.S. nuclear sanctions on the Iranian regime. We will be instituting the highest level of economic sanction. Any nation that helps Iran in its quest for nuclear weapons could also be strongly sanctioned by the United States. America will not be held hostage to nuclear blackmail.
On March 20th, the US imposed additional sanctions on entities that traded Iran's petroleum. This month, United States imposed sanctions on 6 entities and 2 individuals based in Iran, the United Arab Emirates, and China for acquiring components that it alleges are connected to Iran's drone and ballistic missile programs. US actions are aimed at disrupting the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps aerospace industry's effort to procure equipment for Iran's military-industrial complex and drone program. Last year, Germany's financial regulatory authority, BaFin, published a report warning German companies against trading with Iran. The European Union also imposed sanctions on 7 Iranian prison and judicial officials on the grounds of human rights violations. Iran has responded to sanctions by developing its domestic industries and forging new trade relationships with countries like China and Russia. Western intelligence says Iran supplies its drones and ballistic missiles to Russia. Moscow developed deep military ties with Tehran since its full-scale invasion of Ukraine that began in February 2022. The two countries signed a 20-year strategic partnership treaty covering areas ranging from defense and technology to energy and trade.
The treaty that we signed today creates an additional, as I have already said, substantial foundation for building relations of a trustful nature.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin has also expressed interest in building new nuclear power plants in Iran. After the EU reduced gas imports from Russia, Moscow is seeking to sell its surplus energy fields to Tehran. If all goes according to plan, Russia could eventually supply up to 55 billion cubic meters of gas annually to Iran via Azerbaijan. Reports suggest China buys 90% of Iran's oil exports, which are mostly transshipped in waters of Malaysia and Singapore and rebranded as Malaysian. In the face of Western sanctions, China also lent a lifeline to Iran through its strategic partnership plan in 2021. The deal involves $400 billion worth of potential Chinese investments in the Iranian economy in 25 years. In return, China continues to receive a supply of heavily discounted Iranian oil, which increased from 818,000 barrels a day in 2021 to 1 million barrels in 2023. Both Russia and China have been openly vocal about America's unilateral sanctions on Iran and support Tehran's nuclear program.
Use of military force by Iran's adversaries in the context of the settlement of Iran's nuclear issue is illegal and unacceptable.
The implementation of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action has been disrupted by U.S. withdrawal. The United States should show political sincerity and return to the talks as soon as possible. Sanctions, pressure and coercion will lead to nowhere.
Over the years, Iran has circumvented sanctions by forming alliances with countries that are under Western pressure. But will the ongoing nuclear talks with Washington put an end to years of Iran's strained relationship with the US?